a rare public shaming on the Hill today as MPs called Christian Firth of GC Strategies to what's known as the bar of the House of Commons for an official admonishing by members of Parliament. It all comes after the House found Firth in contempt for refusing to answer questions on his company's work on the COVID-era border app ArriveCan, an app with a budget that ballooned from $80,000 to at least $60 million. That's according to the Auditor General. But the planned questioning by MPs almost didn't happen. Have a listen.
Was the information about Mr. Firth's medical condition shared with the House of Commons administration?
Mr. Firth.
Mr. Speaker, we shared it with the clerk.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this information is consistent with what was shared with all recognized parties yesterday individually by the law clerk and parliamentary counsel, that Mr. Firth's health is fragile and that a doctor has provided a note recommending that Mr. Firth does not participate in activities such as the questioning today for mental and physical health reasons.
Despite that attempt for things not to unfold, they actually did, and questioning did go ahead. CTV's Rachel Aiello was watching all the details as they did unfold. Hi, Rachel. And I think actually that's still going on live. They're entering a new round of questioning now, so we'll be able to pull up some of the live questioning as it happens. Why is this important that this individual, it's historic, but what's the big deal about what he's testifying about or being asked about?
So for months, MPs have been trying to get to the bottom of this ArriveCan app controversy. There's been an Auditor General's report, there's been successive committee hearings, and ultimately the MPs decided they needed more information from GC Strategies to be able to make their conclusions. The Auditor General had estimated overall this app had ballooned to close to $60 billion. And when questioned by MPs about GC Strategies' role, which was awarded the initial contract and then was said to be kind of subcontracting out to others, Firth had been obfuscating on some of the key questions that they're trying to get to the bottom of. And so that is why he's been called here today. And under the parameters of this, Vassy, he is forced to answer.
And it seems like it's been kind of like rounds of MPs, basically from the parties, able to ask questions. If you were to draw out what you think is most significant about what he has said and what he's been asked, what would it be?
So a couple of things have stood out to me so far. There was a question off the top or early on about whether the federal government had asked him to repay what his firm was awarded through this ArriveCan matter, and he said no. There was also some questions around this concept of the improper lobbying that may have led up to GC getting this contract. And he said, yes, I have taken government employees out for dinners and coffees, but usually within, as he worded it, the parameters of what was acceptable. A lot of airing of grievances in there as well, Vassy. We're hearing a lot of MPs express their discontent with having to get to this point to get him to answer some of these fairly basic questions.
It's interesting because even his responses have been more deferential than they ever were in the past. He's like, I know I was wrong. I know I've been admonished. That's why I'm here today. I thought that was kind of interesting.
There was one very frank exchange there where he acknowledged, yes, I could have said more and I accept being here today and I'm willing to provide more than what were basically half answers the last time he was before committee.
So at the same time as this is unfolding in Parliament, there's an RCMP investigation into both ArriveCan, but also another kind of contracting scandal or controversy that this company in particular is involved in allegedly as well. Yeah. And that took a turn over the past few days in that the RCMP actually went to this individual's business, and there was some talk of that actually during what happened in Parliament Hill. I want to play the clip and then we'll get you to talk more about it, Rachel. Let's listen.
That today, media reports that Mr. Firth's property was raided by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. What crime are they investigating?
Mr. Firth.
Mr. Speaker, that's correct. There was a search warrant, not an arrest warrant, for my property to obtain electronic goods surrounding the Butler allegations.
Does Mr. Firth know if the property of his partner, Darren Anthony, has been searched by the RCMP?
Mr. Firth.
Mr. Speaker, as of this morning, it had not.
So more evidence the RCMP investigation into all of this contracting mess is alive and well, Rachel.
Certainly. So we're waiting to see what comes next on that. In terms of the motion today, MPs have also been given leeway to go back, review the answers, and see what they deem as best next steps. But as for the RCMP, it was, revealing to me that he acknowledged this in the House of Commons a bit after consulting his lawyer, who was actually sitting right next to him. Certainly, it's an ongoing question of how closely linked the ArriveCan and the Bottler AI matters that the RCMP is looking into are connected. Certainly, the GC Strategies connection is there for both.
But the RCMP said in their statement on this, right, like this is not, they tried to delineate between what they were there to raid his house for and ArriveCan. There is a whole other investigation we know of involving another company and all that kind of stuff, or another set of contracts. But then the RCMP commissioner had said to us on this program that actually it was not separate investigations, it was an expansion of the original one. So whatever, the guy's under investigation clearly by the RCMP.
Yeah, and he acknowledged that he was aware of these search warrants being executed. He said he wasn't actually on the premises when it was conducted, so he doesn't actually know what all these National Police Force officers went in and seized.
Okay, Rachel, thank you so much. I appreciate it. CTV's Rachel Aiello. We have more coverage, of course, on ctvnews.ca.